What's going on, everybody? This is Alex, and wait a second. Where's the background? Where's the box art? Where's the title? Huh. I got an idea. In brightest day and blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight, and oh my god! Oh, that's not what I wanted to have happen at all. Ugh. Let's try that again. In brightest day and blackest night, no evil, including you, Mr. Reynolds, shall escape my sight! There we go. What's up, everybody? This is Alex once again with another installment in my DC Animated Movie Universe review. We are on to Green Lantern First Flight. Came back out in 2010 and is, of course, again, directed by Laurent Montgomery, who, of course, previously did Wonder Woman, Superman Doomsday, pieces of that. So, we're back, and we are ready to take on our first solo movie starring Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern. Of course, as always, these movies have a great cast at their disposal, and even though I didn't recognize a lot of the voice actors in this, once I actually looked them up, I was like, oh, it's these guys. So, first up, we have Christopher Meloni as Hal Jordan. Law & Order, SVU, Oz, True Blood, does a great Hal Jordan here. We also have Victor Garber as Sinestro, and I'm thinking, well, who the heck is that? That's Dr. Stein from the DC's Arrowverse. He's great too, so we're already cooking along here. Trisha Helfer as Boudica, Cylon number 6, and she also plays Sarah Kerrigan, the Queen of Blades in the StarCraft 2 trilogy. Also great. Kurtwood Smith is here on hand as Kanjar Rowe. He's Red from that 70s show. The things you learn. Also, as I was watching this, I always watch these before I actually do any of the research, just to kind of get an initial impression without any sort of outside interference. I'm listening to the voice of Kilowog, and I'm like, who the heck is this guy? It's freaking Michael Madsen! I love Michael Madsen! So, already, the cast of these movies, the voice actors are never to disappoint. Like, it's always great here. So let's dig right into what this movie is about. The one thing I especially liked is that this isn't just a rehash of the origin story, which we actually already got to see in Justice League: The New Frontier. We get to see a little bit of how Abensur came to Earth, found Hal Jordan, gave him the ring, blah 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 blah. That takes all of about 4 minutes of this movie. We see Abensur crash landing on Earth. He basically pulls this test pod that Hal Jordan is conducting a test flight in to him, gives him the ring, and of course everybody at Ferret's Air is like, oh my god, where did Hal go? That's when the Lanterns show up, Kilowog, Sinestro, Tomar Ray, they all show up, and they're like, hey, you're now a Green Lantern. And Hal Jordan's like, okay, cool, let's go. Let's go be Green Lanterns together. So they fly back off to Oa, where they are going to have the Guardians, the Tribunal of the Guardians, which are the original controllers of this green element, this green power source, which they explain a little bit more about by revealing the fact that there is also a yellow element that the Guardians had to hide away because the only thing that can weaken the green light is yellow light. Yeah, we're actually not in a metaphorical energy sense. We're talking about actual colors here, people. The weakness of the Green Lanterns is the color yellow. Comics are so dumb sometimes. But anyway, it's revealed that Abensur, who was on secret assignment trying to track down the location of the yellow element, which has now been taken, I believe it's Kanjar Rowe has gotten his hands on it, and he's hiding it, and they're going to do something terrible with it. So a detachment of the Green Lanterns fly off to I guess it's like a space station, but it's like an airport space station, and they are trying to track down Kanjar Rowe. The whole time we are seeing there's a little bit of tension between Sinestro, the Guardians, and the rest of the Lanterns. You can tell that he's got a problem with authority. And it's revealed that him and Kanjar Rowe are actually working together to basically find the yellow element and turn it into a weapon and use it to destroy the universe or enslave the universe or take control and defeat the Guardians. So they find they track them down at this space station after they've discovered the location after finding Abensur's killer, an alien named Kutch, who was working with Kanjaro. If I'm gonna mess these names up at some point, I'm sure of it. Because we've got guys like Boudica, Tomore, Kanjaro, Appa Ali Apsa, Gantha. Like, there's a bunch of goofy names in this, so I will do my best to get those all straight. But they find Kutch. Sinestro kills him, in the interrogation. They find where Kanjaro, there we go, is hiding out on this space station airport. They track him down, and a pretty cool little fight scene ensues where they're actually chasing after him through, I guess, what their interpretation of like hyperspace or subspace is. And Hal Jordan manages to get onto their spaceship and corners Kanjaro, at which point Sinestro shows up behind him. And he's got Kanjaro's little control rod, which is allowing him to basically connect back and forth mentally between him and Sinestro. We find out that they're actually, obviously working behind the scenes at this point. And Sinestro's like, well, I don't actually need you anymore. I have Plan B. And he murders Kanjaro. Like, Sinestro in this movie is super cold. Like, just cold. And Victor Garber, his voice just oozes with this attitude and just kind of like old school cool. He's like, I'm going to do things my way, and I don't care what you think. It comes across really, really well. As I've said before, the voice talent in these movies is always fantastic. So he kills Kanjaro. They go back to Oa, which is the home of the Green Lanterns, and the Guardians basically put Hal on trial because they think that it was Hal who killed Kanjaro, basically severing any ties they had to finding the yellow elements, or figuring out what the element has been, what's become of it. And so they take his ring, and they're like, yeah, we're going to send you back to Earth. Obviously we made a mistake in letting you have this ring. Goodbye. Thanks for nothing. And at that point, while he's waiting to get taken back, he has some interaction with both Kilowog and Boudica saying, something's not quite with Sinestro. I don't trust him. And of course, they're like, yeah, nobody really likes him. He's a little too headstrong. But Jordan sees him as like, he hates the Guardians. He absolutely detests them and wants power. And so they find him in the morgue where he has used his ring, and I kid you not, to reanimate Kanjaro's corpse, which is actually a pretty freaky scene. He's using it to connect synapses back in the brain, and he kind of uses them as a puppet to figure out where the yellow element has been hidden, and he reveals that it's on Quard, wherever the hell that is. There's some back and forth when Kilowog, Boudica, and Jordan catch him. Boudica reveals that she's working with Sinestro in a bit of a twist here, and allows Sinestro to escape, at which point she manages to knock out Kilowog, and Jordan's trying to fight for his life here and tricks her into blowing up the control rod that Kanjaro was using, again, to communicate with both the weaponers, which we find out have the yellow element, and also Sinestro. And so she dies, and at that point, Kilowog's like, we have to let everybody know what's going on here, and we need to let people know that Sinestro is up to no good. And at this point, we see him arrive on this barren wasteland, and he meets a weaponer, which is like this little insect guy who they build weapons, obviously. And he takes him to this underground cave and reveals to him the yellow power battery, which has been built to harness the power of the yellow elements. And they don't really... the one thing I would like to see here is that they actually delved into what the actual elements represent. Obviously, the green element is willpower, and the yellow element is fear. And of course, if they ever do like a War of the Light or Sinestro Corps type deal, we're gonna get to see the rest of the spectrum. Yes, there are red, there are blue, there are whites, indigo, purple, black, white lanterns. The whole color spectrum is here on display. And it's one of those instances where it's such an obvious idea that when DC goes like, hey, this is a thing, you just kind of have to slow clap for genuine creativity. It's pretty clever, I'm not going to lie. So anyway, they give him the ring, the controller of this giant floating eyeball, which I have to admit, it looks a little bit silly, but it is kind of cool watching this thing float around behind Sinestro like an obedient killer dog. And he puts his new Yellow Lantern ring on. He gets his new Yellow Lantern armor. And he's like, all right, time to take it back to Oa and the Guardians. And he flies off and he starts laying siege to it. Basically, this yellow element cannon thing is just one giant super laser, and it's just pew, 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 pew. It's pretty sweet. So in the process, he has killed a couple lanterns, and of course, whenever a lantern dies, the ring will go back to Oa, and so you start seeing lantern rings trickle down around the Guardians as they're running Jordan through his tribunal, in which they are like, you know what, we just can't trust you anymore. We're sending you back. And Sinestro and his giant Eye of Doom come along. They're blowing everything up, and in the process, the Eye hunts down the Green Lantern battery, the Central Core battery, and blows it up. And what that does, because it's the power source for every Green Lantern's ring in the galaxy, hundreds, if not thousands, of lanterns just die in because they're all flying around in space, and suddenly they have no oxygen, no protection, and so he's literally wiping out the core. It's a pretty impactful scene, seeing these lantern rings just drop and just hearing the clink of the metal on the ground. It's tragic to just see that Sinestro has just reduced their lives down to just like, that's it. That's all we saw of them. That's the last remnant of them. So he's wiping the floor against the lanterns and the Guardians, and Jordan temporarily gets his ring back. Ganthet, one of the more understanding Guardians, is like, hey, we need everybody, and you were right, take your ring. And so he's trying to get to save some more of the other lanterns, and at that point, that's when the battery blows up, and of course, everyone's out of power. He goes after the battery because he's going to try and do something. He doesn't know what he's going to do yet, but he's going to try and do something. So he finds it, punches it, almost breaks his hand, it seems like, and cracks it. And he's like, whoa, he can see like inside there is just pure power inside this element. And so he sticks his hand inside of it and absorbs all of the energy inside the green element. I believe that what he becomes here is Ion the Torchbearer. I could be wrong on that, but this is basically just the super-powered Super Saiyan Hal Jordan. And he goes and beats the crap out of Sinestro and his floating Eye of Doom, at one point using a golf bat, or a golf club, a baseball bat, and these are all massive oversized light constructs, which is sort of the marquee of the Green Lanterns, is that they can use their willpower to create constructs of pure light energy. And so he uses a golf club, a baseball bat, a sledgehammer, and finally, to destroy this thing, he grapples onto 2 moons and pulls them in to smash this giant Eye of Doom, and it's pretty intense. At which point, he's burned out the extra power, Sinestro's running out of power, and they beat the hell out of each other, just about to the point, like, it's up there with, like, it's not as impactful, obviously, as the fist fight between Doomsday and Superman in Doomsday was, but it's pretty, just out there, because you can just tell that both of them are just out of power, and it's a slugfest, and it kind of goes to show that even without their power, they are both still, their conviction is so much that they are willing to just, put it all on the line. Which it's a really great scene. Finally, Hal Jordan knocks him out of the sky, lands on the ground. Kilowog flies over, steps on the ring and Sinestro's hand, breaking both. It's pretty gruesome. They announce that, Hal Jordan, you're a great new Lantern. They do the oath, because, you got to do the Pledge of Allegiance and all that. And then Hal Jordan flies back, commenting that it's going to be a long commute from Earth to Oa. And that's the plot of Green Lantern First Flight. It is pretty straightforward. It's just like, it's a good space adventure kind of cop movie. I really like the opening scenes where we get to see Sinestro and Hal Jordan kind of play good cop, bad cop on this kind of Mos Eisley Space Cantina place where they're interrogating the owner, trying to find information about Kutch and his accomplices, obviously Kanjar Ro. So there's just some great elements of that. Again, the voice talent is absolutely fantastic. Christopher Maloney does a great job as Hal Jordan. a little bit one-dimensional, a little flat. Obviously we don't get to see him go from ordinary man, test pilot to, like a space cop. It's just kind of like a 0 to 60 in no time flat. So there isn't a lot of development from that to him being a Green Lantern. But he plays it off really well. Again, Victor Garber as Sinestro is just cold. I mean, the bit where he's, I've got plan B, and so I don't need you to find the element now, and just blows a hole through Kanjuro. Absolutely killer there. Michael Madsen as Kilowog is just fantastic. His line of, Poozer, which is, like a rookie essentially. He's just constantly just dishing out, one-liners and just giving crap to everybody. There aren't as many one-liners in this movie and quotable lines as there are in previous DC movies, which is kind of a letdown. But still, again, the characters are all really on point here. The other things that I really liked about this movie were just the clever use of constructs. One of the biggest things that kind of was a letdown with the first season of Justice League, before we went to Justice League Unlimited, and seeing Jon Stewart as the new Green Lantern for that animated universe, was that all those constructs were kind of boring. They were just either like a straight laser, or maybe a block, or something just kind of, boring. But here we get to see the golf club, the baseball bat. We get to see Kilowog makes a bed to catch Hal Jordan who's falling. We see, a spaceship made out of green light construct. So it's cool to see the directors of this and the storyboarders make it clever. We get to see Hal Jordan playing with a Green Lantern light yo-yo as he's, basically waiting around for the team to come back as they're patrolling the space station. So that's really cool there. I really liked that. I loved seeing the look of the lanterns, since they are from 3,600 different sectors of space. They tell us in this movie that there are at least that many lanterns. So each one of them has a relatively unique look. Even just from the more humanoid looking ones, there's some variations in the green armor plating over the black bodysuit. We do get to see obviously Chip, CH''P, which is a squirrel Green Lantern. I don't know what that's about, but it's still pretty cool. So getting to see the different variations in the looks of them, because you can make them all look very uniform and very militaristic. So it's cool to see the different design elements come through here. I really like that a lot. The space fights, again, really, really epic. Getting to watch Hal throw down against the giant yellow Eye of Doom, seeing the other Green Lanterns fighting against Sinestro before he destroys the power battery. Really great stuff. The art direction in here is really good. Everything's really well choreographed. Fantastic. And there's something very... I don't know how to describe it really, but when the Green Lanterns are flying around and Sinestro as a Yellow Lantern are flying around, the ethereal glow that comes around their body just looks really striking against some of the more flat backgrounds. I'm not quite sure how to describe it better than that, but it does look really, really cool. I like that a lot. As far as things I didn't like, the story it's a little bit dim. As far as lanterns go, it is a bit dim. Like I said, there's not a lot of character development other than Sinestro's turn from good to evil, but you could say that he's literally just changing shades. Ha ha. Bad jokes. Everybody is just super flat, a little one-dimensional. And there's not a lot of development in anything. It's just, a space adventure, very face value, nothing a lot deeper than just, we have to save the universe. And that's a little disappointing because obviously there's a lot of depth to a lot of these Green Lantern characters, and there's a lot of depth that you can look into with the different representations of the spectrum that we have. Like I mentioned, we have the red, the green, the yellow, all the different colored lanterns. There's a lot of different ways that you can portray those characters, I think, and I hope that within future installments we do get to see those. Obviously there's the rumor of seeing a Green Lantern in the Justice League movie that comes out later this year, the live action version. So hopefully we get to see a better representation of what the Green Lanterns are all about instead of just, intergalactic space cops. So that's kind of my thoughts on Green Lantern First Flight. I don't have a lot because there's just not a lot of movie here, if I'm being completely honest, unfortunately. And that's kind of a bummer. I really like Green Lantern as a character. But, as far as a First Flight goes, I've seen worse. At least they landed. in this one. Now, that being said, our next review is going to be a doozy because we've got Justice League Crisis on Two Earths, and I am super excited to review that one. One statement for you guys. James Woods as Owlman. Yeah. So, appreciate you guys watching as always, guys. Thanks so much for everybody who's commented back on these. That's been really great seeing all the feedback. If there's another movie series or a movie that you think I should review, definitely let me know. I'm always open to more ideas. Of course, we have to finish out the rest of the DC Animated Universe movies here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on it. I'm looking forward to doing every one of these. So thanks for watching, guys, and first video with a prop, so that was kind of fun. Thanks for watching, guys.